We've got the list of the world's cheapest places to live, and you don't have to sacrifice to save up to 81 cents on the dollar. So let's get to it. Hamilton, Bermuda is the most expensive city in the world. It would cost you 40% more than living in New York City. The world's least expensive city is Karachi, Pakistan, and that will cost you 81% less, meaning you'll pay just 19 cents on every dollar that you'd pay in New York to live in Karachi. You might know Phoenix, Arizona in the United States. That's 75 cents. Melbourne, Australia, 79 cents. Munich and Ottawa, 74 cents. And we're going to show you some of the cheapest places in the world and how you can actually get more bang for your buck in these inflationary times while not sacrificing your lifestyle, because most people may not want to live in Karachi, Pakistan, but would you mind living in the lush cities of Southeast Asia, the vibrant capitals of South America? Even some places in Europe make the list, so let's get into it. We're looking at the bottom quartile of Numbio's latest list of the cheapest cities in the world. That's 137 cities out of 549 in total. In some of these places you might want to live, and some of them you wouldn't. But you don't have to live in Africa, you don't have to live in Pakistan, or any of the places that people say, well, if you don't like it in the United States, just move to fill in the blank. Because you've got mainly cities in South America, in Eastern Europe, and Southeast Asia. Places like Serbia, Romania, Bosnia, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, and Turkey. In Asia, very developed places like Malaysia, Thailand, up-and-coming places like Vietnam and Indonesia, and adventurous places like Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, and Paraguay in South America. Now, let's start with the absolute cheapest countries where you can live without sacrificing. And for my money, those are Colombia and Turkey. Cities in Colombia and Turkey consistently come up in that bottom quartile of Numbio's list. One of the most attractive cities on this list is Medellin, Colombia. A lot of expats love to go there for the great social scene, for the eternal spring weather that everybody loves. And it's easy enough to get a residence permit in Colombia by making an investment or starting a company. Medellin is the 487th city on this list, so it's pretty close to the bottom. And it's 30.7 cents to the dollar for what you pay in New York, meaning you'll pay 2/3 less than living in a place like New York. You've also got Cartagena, popular tourist destination on the sea. If you want fun of the sun, you can get that for 30.1 cents on the dollar at number 494. Cali is the eternal summer of Colombia. Not as much my cup of tea, but it comes in at 496 and under 30 cents to your dollar versus New York. But even cheaper, surprisingly, at number 500 is my home of Bogota. I spend a couple weeks a year living in my home in Bogota. It is what they call the eternal fall. And so a lot of people choose to go and live in a place like Cali or Medellin because they want a little bit warmer weather. But if you want to live in the capital, if you want business opportunities, if you want just everything available to you, you can live in Bogota, Colombia for 29.3 cents on the dollar versus New York. That's like 60 to 65% less than places like Phoenix or Munich. You've also got on the coast, Barranquilla, even less. 26 cents on the dollar. Bucaramanga, one of the absolute cheapest cities in the world and home to a number of friends of mine, smaller town in Colombia, 22.5 cents on the dollar. That's some pretty dramatic savings. Now, if South America is not your scene, one of the cheapest places consistently in Eastern Europe is Turkey. And if you look at what's happened with the war between Russia and Ukraine, a lot of places where Russians or Ukrainians have gone, like Serbia, Montenegro, Georgia, Armenia, even Central Asia, have become more expensive, especially when it comes to rent. People who followed our advice and bought properties in countries like Georgia have made huge returns on their money, which is a reason why Nomad Capitalist real estate service may be something worth considering if you're a serious investor. But one of the places where things are still incredibly cheap, and actually our team members from those places I mentioned are going to save money, is Turkey. Istanbul, the biggest city in Turkey, is 33.8 cents on the dollar compared to New York, and it has everything that you can offer. It's basically Turkey's version of New York because it's not the capital, but it's number 458 on the list of the cheapest places in the world. You've got really good food, you've got a lot to do, you have the sea, you've got connections to anywhere you'd want to travel, and you're saving 2/3 of the money when you move from a place like the US or another Western country. Ankara comes on the list at 27.6 cents. Kayseri, near all the hot air balloons that you might see in the tourist brochures, 26.2 cents. So you may have a bit more of a cultural adjustment outside of an area like Istanbul, but if you're staying in the big city like Istanbul, and especially in an area like Nişantaşı, you are going to be in a very international area. The same way if you stay in the city center of Bogota or Medellin, you're probably going to be pretty comfortable and you can handle your safety by living in the right neighborhoods like El Rosales or an Usaquén or a Santa Fe in a place like Bogota. Now, those are the two absolute cheapest countries if you're looking to stretch your dollars. But let's say you're open to spending a little bit more. If you want to go to Eastern Europe, that's one of the three regions and perhaps the one that offers the most personal freedom. During the pandemic, a lot of people were calling us and saying, I want a place that has low-ish taxes, but a lot of personal freedom, and that's heading in the right direction when it comes to liberty, and that often meant various places in Eastern Europe. So in Serbia, where we spend time, Belgrade, the capital, comes in at 44 cents on the dollar. That's not going to make our list. But you have a place like Niš in southern Serbia that does count. It's probably not going to appeal to as many people watching, but immigration to Serbia is relatively easy, and they're even looking at rolling out a very easy citizenship program that may be interesting. Timișoara in Romania does make our list as the one big standout city in Romania. A lot of folks have gone to Romania. You have, if you're an English speaker, very Americanized English in some pockets, 37 cents on the dollar. And then again, Istanbul comes in at 33 cents on the dollar. You can get residence permits in other places in Eastern Europe, but if you want to plant a flag and diversify, Turkey actually offers a citizenship by investment program where you buy $400,000 in real estate or you put $500,000 in the bank for 3 years. They'll give you citizenship in a matter of months, and you can live there for as long as you want, and you'll have a backup plan. It's something that we really talk about here at Nomad Capitalist. And so if you're looking at stretching your dollar, you probably want to know what happens when I move to another country with my taxes. What happens with my banking? Do I need to get a residence permit? How do I live in these countries? And that's exactly what Nomad Capitalist helps people do. We help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors who may want the adventure of living in a different country. Hey, maybe you want to split up your time and live in 3 different countries and save money. Save taxes, save cost of living, put that money back into your business, put that money back into investments, and you're going to grow your money a lot faster. We can help you figure out how to handle your taxes, how to handle your banking, how just to diversify so that no matter what happens, you're covered, and you can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. Now, let's talk about Southeast Asia. This is perhaps the best lifestyle destination for someone who wants just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of consumer conveniences, things that work. You've got a lot of great countries that to me really punch above their weight here. So Malaysia, 36 cents on the dollar. You're saving 2/3 versus what you'd pay in a big city like New York, London, etc. If you want to live in the suburbs, Petaling Jaya, Malaysia comes in as one of the big suburbs, 32 cents on your dollar just for moving a couple of miles out. Penang, a lot of people, particularly Australians, love to go to Penang. It's on the seaside. They've got a great hotel. They've got great food scene in Penang. 32 cents on the dollar. So you're living on the sea. You're eating amazing food. You have a laid-back life for 32 cents on the dollar. And if you want to live in Singapore's version of New Jersey and Johor Bahru, Malaysia, that's 32 cents on the dollar as well. And so Malaysia has the My Second Home program. They've got a new premium residence program. They've got a digital nomad visa. And if you just want to check it out for a while, they're very open tourist visa policy. And so Malaysia, in my opinion, is a great place that's English speaking. They have a lot of things that just work very well. If you want to go to Thailand, Bangkok does not make the list. Real estate has become rather expensive there, but Chiang Mai, longtime home of a lot of digital nomads, a lot of backpackers, 35 cents on the dollar. Even people like Mark Faber, by the way, from our Nomad Capitalist live event, live in Chiang Mai. Vietnam is up and coming. So Hanoi comes in at 35 cents on the dollar. I would say visit Hanoi, don't live there. The South is much more business friendly, I would say, and probably a place that you'd want to live longer term. Ho Chi Minh City, 37 cents on the dollar. If you want to be part of an economy that's growing a little bit faster than maybe, a Malaysia, for example, which is more established, Vietnam comes in very affordably. And in Indonesia, places like Bali have often, become run up in price. Jakarta, if you just like crazy busy capital cities, a place where, you can build a social circle on your own, 35 cents on the dollar there. So a lot of activity in Southeast Asia. Now, if you want to stay closer to home, if that's in North America, if you want to be in that North America time zone, that's something a lot of entrepreneurs tell us, where can you go in South America? Buenos Aires in Argentina. It's pretty far down there in terms of being south, but you've got a great quality of life. 30 cents on the dollar at 492 on the list. 30 cents on the dollar. And yes, Argentina has had its problems. We've had Doug Casey, the original international man, at all of our Nomad Capitalist live events. And he says, listen, I am basically the rich foreigner that lives there, and they basically leave me alone. I'm not banking in Argentina. I'm not moving all my money to Argentina, but I might live in Argentina. He has lived in Argentina over the years. 30 cents on the dollar for a world-class city with a lot of stuff going on. That's a great deal. Now, Brazil, more people going to Brazil. The biggest cities you've heard of don't make the list. Belo Horizonte does make the list, 38 cents. Further north, Fortaleza, becoming more of an investment destination. We're hearing more and more about Fortaleza, 36 cents on the dollar. It is not as cheap in Brazil. Obviously, your Spanish-speaking skills will not really help you in Brazil compared to the rest of Central and South America, but Brazil is becoming more and more popular. And what's great about Brazil is if you want to go for that backup plan passport and you're going to live in Brazil, there's ways to get investment residence, and you can get citizenship relatively easily. What a great quality passport. Nobody really dislikes the Brazilians. Peru, how about Lima? You live in a place like Miraflores in Lima, some of the best food anywhere in the world, probably the best food in South America for sure. Lima, Peru, 37 cents on the dollar. Ecuador, increasingly a commonplace people talk about. Cuenca, voted for many years the absolute best place to retire. 36 cents on the dollar, certainly helps. Quito, 34 cents on the dollar. Ecuador has a very straightforward path to getting residence. You can either show in many Latin American countries, hey, I have some kind of income, could be $800, $1,000, $2,000, depends on the country. Or in the case of Ecuador, you invest a five-figure sum, maybe you buy real estate, you open a bank account, you show some kind of financial commitment, you get residence. And by the way, in many of these countries that have residence, you don't have to live there. So it could be worthwhile to say, hey, what if things get worse in my country? What if taxes go up? What if something crazy happens? Let me have a residence permit where I'm just going to invest $40,000, for example, and have the ability to live in a place where I'm instantly going to cut my costs by 63%, for example, have some of the best food, and be in a place that is much less on the radar for the rest of the world. Paraguay is increasingly interesting for folks who want something that is away from it all. And so Uruguay does suit that, but it's at a much higher price tag. Paraguay has been very friendly for immigration. There's ways you can go with basically no investment. You can get to permanent residence by making some mid-five-figure investment. Asunción, 30 cents on the dollar. You're not that far away from Buenos Aires. Now, it's the same price as Buenos Aires, and so it depends. Do you want the vibrant city with a lot going on, a lot of activity? Or do you want the place that's very much up and coming, much more, leave me alone kind of place? Now, those are the places all around the world where you can save 60 to 70 cents or even more. And I can tell you from being in some of those places, some of them are pretty well developed. I've had people go to Kuala Lumpur and say, this is better than many cities in the UK or the US. There are exotic picks on this list, like Cairo, that are super cheap. There's, of course, places in Syria or Bangladesh or Pakistan. But when someone says, oh, that's where you have to go if you want to save money, show them this list. Now, I want you to leave a comment below. Which city from this list would be your place to save money? But the lesson is, your country isn't the place where you have to live. You can take your job anywhere. You can take your business anywhere. You can potentially lower your taxes or even eliminate them in the process. And you can live in places that have great food, great culture, great safety, great lifestyle. Make an adventure out of it and tell us which one of these cities you'd rather live in.